As the farmer protests enter its 41st day, we have with us Lieutenant General DP Vats, who is a Haryana-based analyst and keeps a close watch on farmer protests and the role of Khap panchayats in the protest. Thank you for joining us, General Vats.
Thank you, Jan.
Now, my first question is that even though farmer protests are continuing in near the Punjab-Haryana border, uh, and they have entered the 44th day, why is it that the farm protests do not have the similar impact like the last time? And it is limited to Punjab and Haryana border areas.
You see, last time biggest factor was a canard of misinformation spread amongst the rural people. And that was about the misunderstanding regarding farm laws. And protest was so massive and it was continued that after 13 months, the government prime minister had to come on a Guru Parv in Gurdwara and he had to apologize to the farmers and withdraw the farm laws, which was, in fact, Prime Minister very categorically mentioned that farm laws were good, but we were not able to make them understand about them and carrying their sentiments, the farm laws were withdrawn. So there is a faction among us farmers. You asked why the protest is not so intense as it was. There is a faction among us farmers, especially these unions. They say farm laws have already been withdrawn. Now, what is the issue? Second thing, issue is legal guarantee of the MSP, that is minimum support price for the agricultural produce. Now, MSP exists, but they are asking for the legal guarantee. Whosoever buys from them, whether it is government or it is private parties, they should buy it beyond MSP, that is 1.5 times the cost, including, means comprehensively we call it C2, that is bore by the farmers. 1.5 times, you can say 50% more than the actual spendings should be given as price to the farmers. So that MSP exists in Haryana. There is MSP for 24 crops. And once the thing is there, certainly the reaction will not be that intense because it is already granted to them and agriculture produce is being procured on MSP in Haryana. And basically, the main thrust of the agitation was from Haryana. Then government has been able to educate the people that the demand made, there are 12 demands by the farmers. And there is a discussion on this. There are pro MSP guarantee unions also. There are against it, calling it that it is not feasible. All these factors included, mass support this time is not there. Mass support, why I say, Khap panchayats gathered at village Bas in Hisar district. And I heard the speakers. Their first this thing was, okay, we won't take the lead, let Punjab people take the lead, let farm unions take the lead. One speaker was telling that Punjab unions are not united, and some of the Punjab unions are saying that demand is not just, it is not feasible. Once Haryana doesn't support it wholeheartedly, and support from Haryana is not coming because the MSP already exists. Naib Singh Saini government has already granted MSP for 24 crops. That's why that zeal and enthusiasm for the agitation is not there.
So the protesting farmers had reached out to Khap panchayats a few days back, but there's no assurance from the Khap leaders that they will back them this time. So what are the main differences between Khap panchayat leaders and the farm unions?
You see, Khap Panchayat leaders made it very categorical that they will not take the lead. First thing, the agitation is not in Haryana. Agitation now is at Punjab-Haryana border. And everybody in Haryana, once Delhi was blocked, though the farm laws were repealed. But because of the blockade of Delhi from Haryana side, from Uttar Pradesh side, there was a very big inconvenience to the people, inconvenience to the villages where the blockade was affected, and inconvenience to the commuters, inconvenience to the uh, industry people in Badurgarh, in Kundali, in Singhu border, and now also there is inconvenience to the commuters because trains are stopped, traffic is stopped. So that is masses. Now they say you don't blackmail us this way or don't force the government. There is a legitimate way. There is a agreed way to air your protest, but it should not cause gross inconvenience to the public. And when you go to the places bordering Delhi, the local people are very much against it because for 13 months there was a blockade, and even I passed through that blockade many times, going towards Gurugram, then coming to Jhajjar, then coming to Hisar. Though farmers didn't block me because I being from Khaps and all that, I having been with them and being a farmer, their ire was not against me. But rest of the government people, especially BJP MLAs and MPs, they were blocked. So that part, people are now convinced that this inconvenience should not be caused to them again. And as far as Khaps are concerned, Khaps are basically social bodies. They came into being. Khap means Akshatrap. Akshatrap means area. They were the panchayats of wise people, or you can say society elders, area wise, who used to settle the social issues started during the times of Harshvardhan Bench, who was the ruler of Thaneshwar or Kurukshetra. People will come to his darbar time and again, taking petty social problems to them, especially marriage issues and all that. So he gave them, he rather granted them the status of Lok Adalats and told them, okay, you sort out your own issues. And that this process, this system developed in a very effective way. Means social issues were sorted out, even legal issues were sorted out amicably with the help of village elders. Now, Khap Panchayats becoming political has not, it has not been a big success, I should say this way, because the response was not encouraging. When they became political and fought elections, most of them, except a few, like Khap leader Sombir Sangwan from Dadri won the election last time. This time he didn't fight. But most of the Khap panchayat candidates and most of the Kisan Union candidates, they forfeited their security deposits. That's why this time BJP has won hands down in Haryana, even in Maharashtra. So in a democracy, numbers count. And that number is reflected in the election results. Therefore, mass support is not there.
So, sir, would you agree that the BJP's victory in Haryana has divided the farm unions and Khaps?
As I mentioned, that in democracy, numbers count and numbers are reflected in the election results. Certainly, we have no intention, BJP has no intention to divide the farm unions or Khaps. But to run the government, you see, MSP demand is very just and MSP has been granted. But a guarantee for MSP means either government buys it on that rate 1.5 times of the expenses by the farmers, or the private market buys it. Now, if government has to buy it, it amounts to what the people who are against it, they say, economists say that it amounts to around 17 lakh crores of budget. Now, total budget of India is around 48 lakh crores. Defense budget goes around 7-8 lakh crores. Subsequently, starts with 6 lakh crores, and by the year end, it becomes 7 or 8 lakh crores because the geopolitical security situations are compulsions on India because defense takes the priority. It takes the first priority for the existence of nation. India was a prosperous country earlier also, but invaders from west, they came, invaded, they divided us. They conquered and they ruled and they plundered. So defense budget takes its own share, the biggest share. Then there are other to run the country. It is not the defense, it is not the farm, it is not the railways, it is in totality. And in totality, your pocket should allow what you demand. So that is a government first. Government has to run the country. And to run the country, yes, agriculture after defense, I say agriculture is most important because in roti, kapda or makan, roti is very important. And that roti is provided by the farmers. And that credit goes to farmers. We were a grains deficient country, we were a food deficient country. And in Lal Bahadur Shastri's time, I remember I was a child that एक वक्त का उपवास रखना पड़ता था during Indo-Pak 1965 war. Now, this green revolution has really revolutionized and we have become a food surplus nation. In food surplus nation also, everybody doesn't produce food, but 60% of the population is involved in the agriculture profession or agriculture production. Earlier, there used to be a system in agriculture that barter system. Okay, you give me labor and I will give you food. Now, most of the places, laborers are from Eastern UP and Bihar. They take money, they don't take food as a barter. Now, that way, food remains with the farmer and farmer has to sell it. Now, if he has to sell it, there are many factors counting. What is the price of food or food grains in international market? What is the need in the country? Then how much government can afford to purchase? And how, on what price the private parties can purchase? Counting all that, international food prices will count. demand in the country will count. We are a food surplus nation now, and government is giving food to poor people more or less free for the last 5 years, and that amounts to 80 crore of the population, which is not a small number. It is a very big number. Keeping all these factors in mind, okay, can government afford it? Can our budget afford it? I will request the farmers and especially Dallewal Saab that seeing the geopolitical situation of the country, there is a boiling situation in Bangladesh, equally boiling and anti-India situation in Pakistan, China on our borders, Ukraine war and Israel and Arab conflicts, boil in Syria. Under these situations, we must not precipitate the issues. Being a soldier, I will request them that Supreme Court of India, they detailed a high-powered committee for negotiation, and farmers boycotted that also. So, in nutshell, I put it this way: demand for MSP is very much just. Food is a must for the nation to exist and for the self-confidence of the nation. Defense and agriculture, they both are very important issues. And then is the financial position on which everything depends. MSP has already been granted. Rest of the states should follow Haryana, that they should also grant MSP, at least state MSPs. Centre has also granted MSP on major crops. Now, as I was mentioning, if private parties don't buy, they will buy only if they get profit out of it. Either they sell it within the country or they sell it out of the country. And government cannot afford to buy that much. So then there has to be a way in between. And that in between way is what Haryana is following. MSP granted. Private parties should buy on MSP if they want to, but it cannot be forced. Therefore, a win-win situation, let us go gradually, let our economy improve further. And then farmers' interest, certainly gradually it is being looked after, like MSP for 24 crops in Haryana. Other states should also follow it. And finally, even you see, farming is a very difficult profession. You depend upon the nature quite a bit. Under these situations, it is a big gamble also. Okay, your crop about to be harvested and hailstorm takes place. So, seeing all these situations, ultimately government should aim for guarantee also. But at present, the situation, I say, the financial condition of the nation as a whole, the geopolitical situation, we should not precipitate these issues what farmers are doing.
Okay. So you have been in the armed forces, and it is fair to say that many soldiers, both in defense, paramilitary, and police, come from agriculture background. How does the morale of the forces gets impacted when they see farmers protesting?
In my opinion, farm laws were repealed basically to keep the morale of the farmer and soldiers high because they are the backbone of the country and they are the sword arm of the country also. But the tragedy of the situation is that 90% of the people who were agitating, they themselves didn't understand what are farm laws. Certainly, soldiers come from farming background, and farmers' welfare boosts the morale of soldiers also. And farmers in distress certainly brings down the morale of soldiers. But for soldiers' morale, government has done quite a bit. Rather, I should say, unparalleled as far as past record of other governments is concerned in India. one rank, one pension. Then so many concessions for ex-servicemen. And in Haryana, again, we have taken the lead that the Chief Minister has not only assured, we have even approved that Agniveer will be treated at par with the ex-servicemen, and reservations up to the extent of 10% in police and home guards and forest guards for Agniveers, and 5% in rest of the services. Here also Haryana takes the lead. And rest of the states, to keep the morale of the soldiers, to boost the morale of the soldiers, they should take the cue from Haryana, and they should follow Haryana and effect reservations and rehabilitations for Agniveers.
So the farmers have been protesting at the Punjab-Haryana border for the past 41 days, and Mr. Jagjit Singh Dallewal has been on hunger strike. Why has the union government or there's been no contact? Uh, the Punjab government too is unable to end the tussle. How do you look at it?
Once the Honorable Supreme Court has come into the issue, then and they have passed their orders also. Now, farmers should come forward to talk to the government. As I was mentioning, Haryana has already granted, so Punjab should also grant it. The agitation is in Punjab. That's why the response from Haryana is not there, because Haryana has already granted. Bhagwant Mann government should also grant the same concession, same MSP on 24 crops, and same concessions what I was mentioning about the soldiers and agniveers. So that agitation, Bhagwant Mann government should talk to Dalewals, and he should also be receptive about it. As I mentioned, every factor, the security scenario, and all these factors combined, एक विन विन वाली बात करो, rather than being adamant on certain issues. His demands are reasonable but not well timed. I put it this way. In a negotiative way, they should proceed with the government, and that is Punjab government first. And they should listen to Supreme Court. One more thing is that they should take steps to boost the agriculture also. And boosting the agriculture means these interstate river water disputes, especially a soil issue. Punjab farmers should press upon the Punjab government to find a amicable solution for SYL issue, or they should listen to the Honorable Supreme Court.
Thank you for talking to the Federal General Vats. It was a pleasure.